In this example of overcoming adversity, we will share Oprah Winfrey history, the American news tycoon, TV celebrity, entertainer, maker, and donor. She is known in the USA as well as everywhere on the world. Individuals trust her words, her expenses are gigantic, and she is more famous than Elvis and Superman and ranked as first according to VH1's The 200 Greatest Pop Culture Icons ranked list. From September 8, 1986 to May 25, 2011, 34 million American ladies and 15 million American men plunked down stuck to the TV when Oprah Winfrey's show started. It was a sacred ritual, which occurred in 117 nations of the world. Her crowd was 55% bigger than that of her nearest competitors. Since its introduction, the Oprah Winfrey Show rating was higher than the joint rating of 3 other daytime programs broadcasted simultaneously. Oprah Winfrey is one of the richest and most powerful American women. She is sort of America's alter ego, a woman adored and appreciated by everybody, venerated by a wide range of TV crowds. Oprah Winfrey is also the chairwoman, CEO, and CCO of her own organization OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. Winfrey does everything in her extraordinarily genuine way, never bulldozing her way to the top. She is the encapsulation of American soul and business achievement. Oprah Winfrey biography is an incredible illustration of a woman who has moved from poverty to newfound wealth, ascended from neediness to the highest point of the world, who changed America and the world for the better. She is the first African-American female tycoon. Early life. Oprah Winfrey was born on January 29, 1954, in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, United States. Oprah's genuine name was Orpah. She was named after the biblical character, Ruth's girl-in-law in the Book of Ruth. However, no one called the baby Orpah. Neither her folks nor her companions could articulate Orpah. That is the reason she later chose to change it even in her birth certificate to Oprah. Oprah Winfrey had a troublesome youth. Her mom, Vernita Lee, a housemaid, and her biological dad, Vernon Winfrey, a digger and later a hairdresser, were never married. At the point when Oprah was born, her dad was far away in the military serving at a naval base. Oprah's mom moved to Milwaukee to work as a housekeeper, having left little Oprah on a homestead with her strict grandma. In the event that Winfrey got rowdy or didn't do what she was requested to, her grandma generally beat her with a stick. In her youth, Oprah had no clue about what shoes were. Neither did she have a dress, an extravagance that she first received to go to class. The withdrawal of the homestead where Oprah was growing up constrained her to make up her own ways of entertainment. She warmed up to family creatures and found a genuine relief in books. There was no TV on the ranch, and as indicated by Winfrey, it was her grandma, Hattie Mae, who gave her the most valuable blessing in life as she instructed Oprah to read and write before she even turned 3. Oprah reviews her strict granny as her first role model. In one of her interviews, she said that her solidarity and perspective are generally the consequences of her grandma's work and exertion. Each Sunday Hattie Mae took little Oprah Winfrey to a congregation where others nicknamed her the preacher. At the point when this little and yet a particularly experienced young lady was recounting Bible refrains in her exceptional and supreme way, people in the congregation felt overwhelmed, and many accepted that the Holy Spirit contacted her. Sensitive Oprah had always remembered that early achievement and made her dream about turning into a teacher or an evangelist. Later Winfrey's 4th grade instructor, Mrs. Duncan, motivated her to turn into a teacher. At the point when Oprah began kindergarten at 5 years old, she, when all is said and done, wrote a request letter to her teacher asking to move her straight to the 1st grade. The astonished teacher did as requested. Having concentrated and reached all goals in the 1st grade, Oprah was then moved straightforwardly to the 3rd, which was an early indication of the colossal capability of the poor lonely young lady from Mississippi. At 6 years old, Oprah Winfrey got back to her mom. Along with her stepbrother and sister, she moved to a downtown neighborhood in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the ethics and habits were totally different as the ones of the rustic open country. Despite horrible poverty, constant humiliation and a complicated life, the young lady kept on giving public exhibitions, participated in poetry competitions at black public clubs and at chapel gatherings where everyone called her the Little Speaker. Later in one of her interviews, Oprah said that notwithstanding all difficulties and challenges and at the haziest occasions someplace somewhere inside she had consistently realized that one day she would turn into the personality she really was. Oprah Winfrey lived with her mom for just 2 years. At 8 years old, having taken some money from her mother's purse, she fled to live with her dad and his new family. Oprah remained with them for a year until her mom, who was her legal guardian, forced her away from her father and moved back to Milwaukee's solitude, where hopelessness and misfortune were noticeable all around. At the point when she was 13, Oprah got so burnt out on embarrassment and provocation that she took again some money from her mother and fled once more. At the point when the cash was finished, Oprah went to her minister for help. However, he brought her back home, to her furious mother, who quickly repudiated her. Oprah Winfrey, who had been pregnant when she was 14, ended up in a safe house for troublesome teens. Her dad saw-fed her and took her home from that hopeless and awful place. In her visit with CNN's Piers Morgan tonight, Oprah admitted with tears in her eyes that her dad had saved her life. Oprah's child was born prematurely and unfortunately died shortly after his birth. Regardless of a particularly hopeless adolescence, this driven young woman kept dreaming about beautiful countries, places, and spots she would find out about in her books. In 1991, she said to Good Housekeeping, "Books showed me there were possibilities in life. Reading gave me hope. For me, it was an open door." From the age of 14, Oprah lived with her dad's family in Nashville. Her life turned its direction vividly, reminding her that the American dream can come true. Oprah's dad, Vernon Winfrey, encompassed her with care and consideration, and finally, an ugly duckling began to transform into a beautiful swan. In the meeting for Good Housekeeping magazine, Oprah remarked, "My dad turned my life around by demanding that I be more than I was, and by trusting I could be more. His affection for learning showed me the way." Vernon caused Oprah to learn 5 new words each day or she would remain without dinner. Talented by nature, Oprah became a real student. At 15 years old, she was picked to perform with the Congregation Ensemble in California. At the point when Oprah Winfrey saw the Hollywood Walk of Fame, she promised herself to have her own star there one day. After that trip, Oprah turned into the head of her school council, took part in a school drama club and notably showed herself in oratory art and disputing. At 16 years old, she won a speech challenge of Elks Club, which got her a full scholarship at Tennessee State University. President Nixon welcomed Oprah to the White House as a remarkable American teenager and representative of the black youth of Nashville. Later, Oprah stated that this was all because of her dad's changing effect on her television host career. During Winfrey's first year at Tennessee University, where she majored in speech and drama, Oprah Winfrey became Miss Black Tennessee and later Miss Black Nashville. In 1971, she took part in a carnival procession in frames of Miss Black America beauty pageant. A while later, nearby TV station CBS extended to her an employment opportunity, and Oprah Winfrey turned into the first black female assistant to Nashville's evening news anchor. And she was just 19 years old. At the second year of school, Oprah Winfrey turned into a journalist on Nashville's TV. Not only was she the news anchor, but also the first African American woman to take such a position. It might sound not so exciting to you after Barack Obama was the first African American president of the United States, but at that time of rampant racism it had seemed easier to get to the moon than to take the top position in USA's television industry. Shockingly, that work turned into Oprah's contemptible failure. The news ended up being not her kind of thing. Before she moved on from school in 1976, Winfrey was offered the job of a correspondent in Baltimore and a co-anchor of 6 o'clock news on WJZ-TV. Oprah happily accepted the offer and worked there for 2 years and afterward got an invitation to become the host of WJZ's local talk show, People Are Talking. Shockingly as it might appear, the crowd gave the black female show host a cheerful welcome. Oprah's ratings surged up. Later, Oprah reviewed her first show. "I came off the air and said to myself, this is what I should be doing. It's like breathing." In 1984, after 6 years spent on WJZ-TV, Oprah Winfrey, at that point 29 years, was invited to Chicago to have WLS-TV's low-appraised half-hour morning talk show, AM Chicago. My first day in Chicago, September 4, 1983. I set foot in this city, just walking down the street, and it was like roots, like the motherland. I instantly knew I belonged here. Oprah recalls her move to Chicago. Winfrey signed a 4-year contract with a yearly salary of $200,000. From the outset, she was somewhat stressed over how the crowd might want a morning talk show hosted by an African-American moderator. That ended up being not inherently anxiety around then. The thing was that her show was broadcasted at the same time with the Phil Donahue show. Oprah was incredibly stressed how the watchers and her partners would evaluate her work and whether she would have the option to get a handle on the consideration of the viewers who had the alternative of quickly switching to the well-known and loved already show hosted by such an experienced and respected showman. Luckily, her fears never came true. A month after Winfrey had made her debut in Chicago, the show accomplished its most elevated rating for a year. 2 or 3 months later, Donahue moved to New York, which was a wise thing to do, considering that opposition with Oprah Winfrey was inconceivable. The viewers loved Winfrey's show. Longer than a year, the rating of the morning program facilitated by Oprah took off by 50%. Winfrey before long turned into the dearest companion of every American housewife. Her show was a finished and utter secret of achievement. One day she would have Donnie and Marie Osmond, and the following day, here we go. She welcomed some gay couple. She disclosed her capacity to hear the perspectives completely different to her own by saying that she was attempting to show people who they truly were instead of evolving them. In the 4th grade, Oprah wanted to become a teacher, and now consistently she was giving lessons to the crowd of mindful and intrigued audience members all over the country, and that was her encouragement. Oprah herself viewed her work as a phenomenal chance to educate people and make their lives easier. Winfrey's capacity to speak with drug addicts and people who chose alternative lifestyles caused her to say that, "We are each responsible for our own life. No other individual is or can be." She adored the entire shows, and her watchers cherished her for that. Acting experience. In 1985, Quincy Jones, who was the producer of a film adaptation of Alice Walker's epic, The Color Purple, saw Oprah Winfrey on TV when he was switching through channels in his hotel room in Chicago. He was searching for someone to play Sophia. Despite the fact that Winfrey had no acting experience, not including the dramatization club at her school and an appearance in the series of American Masters, Jones offered her a job. In December 1985, the film was delivered and received glowing audience reviews. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune commended Winfrey's work and described her presentation as amazingly great. Winfrey was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe for the Best Supporting Actress for her performance in the film. In June 1986, National Organization for Women awarded Oprah with the Woman of Achievement Award for her sensitive presentation. Winfrey's success drove her to work in a film of Richard Wright in 1986. She played the main character's mom. However, the film wasn't a success. Winfrey admitted that it was difficult for her to distinguish herself with a mother on the grounds that at her 32, she actually didn't have a lot of involvement of such feelings. Nevertheless, her overall success at the cinema was very beneficial to the Oprah Winfrey Show. Her fame skyrocketed. Later on, Oprah did a few other full-length films, played in miniseries, and voiced a couple of popular animated movies. In 1986, Oprah Winfrey met Stedman Graham Jr. They are a long-lasting couple until these days. Stedman Graham is a businessman and visionary CEO of Stedman Graham & Associates. Notoriety growth. Oprah Winfrey life story is brimming with scenes that drove her to success. One of such scenes occurred in 1986 when Oprah Winfrey turned into the TV moderator of her own network, called The Oprah Winfrey Show, which later helped her skyrocket her career. This unforeseen development made Oprah the highest-paid television presenter in the show business. Continuously of 1993, the show had spread its exceptional effect on a number of markets. 198 markets, which made 99% of all existing in the country, and 64 unfamiliar markets including Japan, Norway, Saudi Arabia, New Zealand, and the Netherlands. During 27 years of her work, Oprah Winfrey has met and interviewed a boundless number of celebrities: Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama. In 1993, she talked with Michael Jackson, who rarely talked to the press. Oprah met the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates, the inventor and fellow founder of Google, Sergey Brin, the CEO of the Oracle Corporation, Larry Ellison, the businessman and investor Richard Branson, and actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Russell Crowe, Al Pacino, and sport icons Michael Jordan, and numerous others. She had them all. It truly would be easier to say, who had not visited Oprah at her show? Winfrey's word is as good as gold. The force of Oprah Winfrey in her show is so powerful that it can make people famous overnight, as it occurred with Mary Ann Williamson and her self-improvement guide, A Return to Love. On Tuesday, February 4, 1992, Williamson visited Winfrey's show. On Wednesday, only one day later, people purchased 35,000 book copies. Over the following 8 days, as indicated by the distributor, the leftover 300,000 copies were sold. This entirety was the aftereffect of only one appearance of the book's writer in the Oprah Winfrey Show. It was an extraordinary case throughout the entire existence of book business, where on average, no more than 10,000 copies of hardcover books were sold. In July 1993, the presence of Deepak Chopra on Oprah's show had the same effect on the sales of his book, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. Oprah's crowd purchased more than 100,000 copies of the book that same day. In 2002, not very long before the official race, George Bush Jr. was a visitor at Winfrey's show. 5 years later, Oprah Winfrey supported Barack Obama. It might be only a coincidence that both George Bush Jr. and Barack Obama won the election. But there aren't many of incidents associated with the name of Oprah Winfrey. True success is diverse. Having gotten the best paid TV personality in show business, Oprah Winfrey had no goals of stopping what she started. In October 1988, she enlisted her own organization, Harpo Entertainment Group. The name, Harpo, is Oprah, spelled in reverse, which produces interactive media programs for TV. The fledged financial specialist started from purchasing a film studio of 9,000 square meters in Chicago for $20 million. There, at her own studio, she recorded every one of the episodes of The Oprah Winfrey Show. Other than the show, which is the fundamental item and brand of the organization, Harpo Entertainment Group likewise produced documentaries and offered it to various TV channels. In only 5 years of the organization's presence, as per the Forbes magazine of September 1993, Oprah's own income added up to $98 million. For comparison, the income of the king of cinematography Steven Spielberg around the same time didn't surpass $72 million. Oprah turned into the first African American woman to claim her own production company in the entertainment industry. In addition, she is only the third woman on the planet after Mary Pickford and Lucille Ball, who owned her own studios and ran individual shows. As founder of Harpo Entertainment Group, Oprah Winfrey only trusts one single individual, her long-term attorney and partner Jeffrey D. Jacobs, who is the president and chief operating officer of Harpo Entertainment Group. Even so, as Mr. Jacobs considers that Oprah is the only one who runs a famous show and her money and still ultimately makes any important decision herself. Jacobs states that Winfrey still single-handedly signs each check and lightheartedly does any routine task of the lowest positioned clerk of her corporation herself. In 2000, Winfrey founded O, the Oprah magazine that got perhaps the most successful title throughout the entire existence of the periodical press, with its print run surpassing 2 million copies. Furthermore, she opened an eccentric cafe in Chicago, purchased a cable channel and invested into real estate. Oprah herself is the fortunate proprietor of an estate on the seacoast in Santa Barbara worth $50 million, a farm in Colorado, bought for $4.3 million, a Global Express XRS jet with the yearly working expenses of $1.4 million, 4 homes and a house in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and a ranch in Indiana. In 2006, Winfrey signed a $55 million contract with XM Satellite Radio. Additionally, Oprah Winfrey is the owner of the Oprah.com site, which reaches a crowd of 2.8 million people every month. The final show? On May 25, 2011, Oprah Winfrey aired the last episode of her show. The show was recorded without any visitor in the audience. Most of the time Oprah was on the stage alone. As a remarkable person of American TV, she wanted to remain face-to-face with her fans and share her dearest farewell to them. Just once did she welcome all her staff to join her at the stage to express her gratitude toward them for their long-standing work and support. "I will not say farewell. I'll simply say, until we meet again," said Oprah, retaliating her tears. On January 1, 2011, Oprah Winfrey launched her own channel called OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. The audience of the first show in the USA reached 80 million people. Oprah is a host and maker of her new early evening show on OWN, Oprah Prime, initially named Oprah Next Chapter, which has effectively broadcasted for 3 seasons with the highest ratings ever, and it wasn't difficult to foresee that it was going to be just as popular and successful as everything that Oprah does. Philanthropy. Oprah happily donates money to different foundations and foundations supporting youngsters. Oprah's Angel Network, a charity set up by her, spends millions of dollars for different purposes, beginning from financing schools in the poorest nations of Africa, giving monetary help to the casualties of the Typhoon Katrina. In 1994, she proposed a bill to Congress that pointed toward making a single information base to help track child abusers. President Bill Clinton confirmed and signed the bill into law. Oprah's book list. Oprah loves self-improvement guides. In Oprah's Book Club 2.0, there are 74 must-read books, and she keeps choosing new books that had made a difference to her. There is, for example, Ruby, by Cynthia Bond, The Invention of Wings, by Sue Monk Kidd, The 12 Tribes of Hattie, by Ayanna Mathis, and numerous others. Oprah Winfrey's Secrets of Success. According to Forbes, as of March 29, 2015, Oprah Winfrey's net worth was $3 billion. So, what is the mystery of the success of the Oprah Winfrey Show, which ran on TV for over 25 years? And again, is there a mystery at all? The appropriate response is easy: the mysterious lies in the one-of-a-kind character of the show's host. Basically, the show was not simply a straightforward job engagement for Oprah. It was the acknowledgement of her youth dream to talk to people and help them. Oprah Winfrey has never placed cash on the primary spot in her bucket list. Perhaps on the second. For instance, she never got any commission for the merchandise and items, which she promoted in her show. In any case, she just talked about things, which she considered important and significant. As strangely as it might sound, Oprah's tremendous fortune is the aftereffect of never exchanging her principles for wealth and money. Oprah Winfrey's character attributes incorporate being true, bold, and dedicated. Winfrey is extraordinarily capable of entertaining communication. Oprah's charm and affectability are catching. This quality permits her to be a beloved moderator and manage the subjects, which would be an untouchable for other TV hosts. Oprah Winfrey's dear companion and coach Maya Angelou once called her the least expensive and most genuine therapist of America. Angelou, an extraordinary American artist, portrayed Oprah as the person who fearlessly strolls where others don't set out to go, the person who prepares for other people. For sure, Oprah's capacity to walk strikingly where others don't make a single step is extraordinary. She intuitively knows the underside of people and has a special ability to uncover precisely what the crowd wants to know about this person. She has a capacity and persistence to listen mindfully to cruel people, savages, and assassins without communicating judgment or personal emotional attitude. The huge mystery in life is that there is no large mystery. Whatever your goal, you can get there if you're willing to work. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey needed to conquer innumerable obstacles on her way to success. It is difficult to recount every one of failures and disappointments she needed to overcome, for there were too many. Yet, Oprah did it, and so can everybody.